So my name's Hilary. I've worked for LUSH since probably the first month that they opened. I think I was about a month in. I've done lots and lots of different jobs over the years. At the moment, my title apparently is Ethics Director. I work more on talking about company values and about explaining the things that we feel very strongly about within the company to staff, to customers, to the outside world. The people that own LUSH and started it are the kind of people who it's not good enough for them to have personal ethics in their private lives and then run a business that's somehow different. And all too often companies do that. So from the very start, the company obviously hasn't ever animal tested, that's a really strong issue, but it always had a stance about packaging, it always had a stance about recycling and all sorts of things, organic, fair trade. We've been doing those things right from the very start of LUSH. We need to tell people why they need to think about what's in their cosmetics, how it got there, how did it get grown, who's been trading you those ingredients, what animals have been involved in testing it, all of those things that are involved in cosmetics ingredients. Someone somewhere has to be speaking out about that, and if it wasn't someone else, then it had to be us. Okay, so REACH is a new piece of chemical legislation passed by the European Parliament. It stands for Registration, Evaluation and Authorisation of Chemicals, and it covers any chemical being brought into Europe or manufactured in Europe in quantities over 1 tonne. And it mandates a new set of safety data for those ingredients. Unfortunately, some of the data that they're demanding is going to require animal testing. We think in this day and age that's unacceptable. We at LUSH want safe ingredients. It's nice to know that our environment and our country and the whole of Europe is having a strong look at the safety of chemicals being brought in, but if that means that animals are going to have to die in their millions, then something's wrong. And we all want safe chemicals, we all want safety data, we just don't want it done on animals. You know, this is archaic, it's old-fashioned, it's not a very effective way to test for safety. So if you're bringing in new legislation, let's have new ways, let's look to the new ways of safety testing, not back to Victorian methods of dribbling it into animals' eyes and force-feeding rats until they die to find out data that's relevant to humans. Let's have modern, safe, effective data. So we decided to put £250,000 a year as a prize fund, and it goes to the individual who makes the major breakthrough for animals that year. If there's no major breakthrough, then we will split that money every year into 5, and we will award £50,000 to 5 people for making medium-sized breakthroughs for animals in 5 different areas, and that's young scientists, it's scientific award, it's a training award, it's an education award. So we've done that sort of thing where we break it up and say, okay, there hasn't been a major breakthrough this year, but we can see the people that are working really hard and are striving out to do these things in all these areas that can make such a massive difference to animals and the amount of animals that are dying every year. There is talk in North America of bringing in similar legislation to REACH. There's also talk, I think, in Korea of bringing in legislation similar to REACH. So it's certainly not something that's totally unique to Europe. Other countries look to it and wonder whether they need that kind of safety, retrospective safety testing for their ingredients and their chemicals being imported. So people do need to stay vigilant. People need to keep an eye on what legislation is coming in. They need to make it clear to politicians that are writing these bits of legislation that it's unacceptable to have new legislation that involves animal testing, and that if they're going to bring in legislation, they need to bring it in so that it only involves non-animal testing methods.